I'm here with someone that I deeply respect, someone that's a man of business, a man of heart, and also a man of integrity. So I'm here with James Price. He's not just a leader, a mentor, but someone that I deeply look up to. And I wanted to say this: whenever I see community events or something, this is not scripted. I always see James Price there putting up his hand, contributing and doing the Barbie. And it just shows a lot I know you're very successful as a business person, but also a lot as your character. So, and I just wanted to acknowledge you for that. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. So what does greatness mean to you?
Just greatness means contributing, I think.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Greatness is it's not born, it's not mandated. It's often quietly sort of done.
Yes.
And it's sometimes the little things, you know?
Wow.
It's sometimes the things that
That's beautiful.
might go unnoticed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily the stuff that gets a fanfare. But I don't know, that's a big picture view. I should be asking you what greatness means, brother, because you're on the awakening journey of greatness.
Okay. Can you take us back to a big failure or a big breakthrough that happened to you in your career that could have literally put someone and, make them want to give up, but you kept going? Can you take us through any moment, and feel free to share a moment that you feel like can help anyone that's going through something right now?
Yeah. Look, there's lots probably. We all go through personal challenges, right?
Yeah.
I can remember back at school, right, in my high school years, there was a time when I was 14, right? And I was a big guy, but I was always a bit unsure of myself. Didn't have a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And rather than speak for myself and take my own views, I tend to run with the pack and be in the background, right? And I still remember once what I thought was my best mate at the time.
Wow.
Really did the dirty on me on something.
Okay.
And, I don't remember the specifics, but I remember feeling like I was just let down, right?
Wow.
I wasn't respected.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, wow, here I am, that's my best mate, and he's treating me like that.
Wow,
right?
wow.
And I thought to myself, I've got to stand up for myself.
Yep.
And I've got to take ownership for myself. And if I believe something that is not right, I need to say so. So I took him on. Right? I took him on with my hand, which wasn't a good thing because I got a really bloody nose at the time and a big bruise, right?
Yeah.
But I also verbally took him on and I said, hey, don't you ever do that again, because that's not respect.
Wow.
And that's not what a mate does. And you don't treat me like that. Now, I guess if I reflect back, that was the moment where I took control for myself.
Yep.
And of myself. And I think if I reflect on that, and it's probably only come out, over the decades, right? Yeah. But I think we've all, no matter how bad done by we are, we've all got this ambition thing, one way or another.
Wow,
right?
wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
we're all thinking,
that's so true.
Oh, wouldn't it be good to own that? Or wouldn't it be good to do that? Or wouldn't it be good to feel like that? Or look like that, right? But as I've got older, I've realized that actually it's more about the journey, not the ambition.
Yeah.
It's more about the process.
Yeah.
And it's more about the focus rather than that sort of shiny thing that is the ambition.
Yeah.
Right?
Who you become in the process?
Yeah, who you become, and can you respect your own actions in the process?
Yes.
And are you contributing in a way that you would regard as valuable, rather than thinking, oh, will my circle think that's good? How do you think my circle looks at me? Right?
That's so true.
So what I learned in that year 14 issue was don't judge yourself by how you think others might see you.
Yes.
Judge yourself as to how you are.
Well, coming from that, exactly, that was something that I was very used to hold myself back from. It wasn't the fear of I'm not able to make certain things. It was the fear of other people judging me. In case they might look, and I might look stupid and I might look thing. So it was more of that fear. What would you say a good mindset for us to take that we can move forward without fearing the criticism and or what other people say? So without the fear of others, what would you say a good mindset?
Well, it's tricky, right? Because it means you have to be vulnerable.
Wow.
Right.
Yes.
And if anyone's seen the movie Titanic, right?
Yeah.
Old mate and his girl are out on the right at the end of the ship, at the front of the ship, and they're perched up there, and they've got their hands wide, and they're in the air, and they're letting the air flow, right? Yeah. And the air's flowing, and they're bending over the front of the ship, right? As if they're almost going to fall.
Yes.
Right, but there's that moment in the movie where you feel like they're going to fall, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right, because it's romantic and it's they're vulnerable.
Yes.
Right, and often I'll tell my team if they're feeling a bit insular about and uncertain and not confident about themselves, I'll say, look, go to the edge of the cliff, put your toes over, put your arms off, and feel the breeze.
Wow.
Nothing's going to happen, but you might learn something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you never go, you'll never know.
Ooh,
right? And so powerful. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy to be in that place, right? Because the world's working against that, right?
Okay.
Because there are knockers out there, and there's a risk that you won't succeed.
Yes.
And you'll look silly.
Yes.
And be embarrassed.
Yeah.
But what does it matter? What the fuck does excuse the language?
No, that's
but what does it really matter?
Yeah.
Right, because you'll still be here tomorrow, and you'll have a chance tomorrow to do it better.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So it's hard because it's a lonely place that you need to put yourself in. I think we talk about not trying to emulate others.
Okay. Yep.
Because judge yourself by yourself.
Yes.
But yes, you do need role models.
Yes.
Right? And you need to be selective and thoughtful about the role models that you look at. And don't look at them for who they are and what they've achieved, because that's not you.
Yes.
That's them. But look at their acts of greatness. And think to yourself, do I respect that?
Yeah.
Are those the sort of values that I'd like to see, right? And that is a way of guiding you through that process, I think.
I guess I'm going to come with a bit of a different type of question, and we'll see how you take it.
Hey.
Have you ever been broke before? Have you ever been you right up in business, and then all of a sudden you got challenged, and it was like, for finances, how did you overcome the mindset, the feeling, and everything? And I do understand that a lot of people take it differently. But what was your approach? You don't have to go into any details, but what was your approach to get yourself out of that thing? Because a lot of people these days feel stuck. Even if it's not huge, like you said, we live again.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the world. But what was your approach to get past these things that are holding certain people back?
Yeah, I get that. I've been in situations where money has been difficult, right?
Wow.
And
okay.
and it's all relative, but I had to start a business, and I started from scratch, and I didn't have anything in the bank.
Wow.
Right? And I had a wife, and I had commitments.
Wow.
And look,
that's amazing.
If I reflect back, it's about the grind. I hate to say it, but it's little baby steps.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, I think most of all, though, it's about trusting yourself.
Yes.
And, trying to develop a sense of confidence.
Yep.
Within you, right? I think, let's say, you owe X, Y, and Z dollars. You haven't got a job. you'd like to go into business, you've got a business idea, but you don't know where to start. You've got commitments, you've got a couple of kids, you may not have any kids, you might be on your own, you might be just out of school.
Wow.
And you're thinking, I'm in a place where I don't know where I'm going, right? Let me tell you, I've been there.
Wow.
Right? But you've got to, it's like building a house. You can't start the house until you've got the plan and the foundations. But they don't have to be elaborate.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? You
Yes.
don't have to have the whole plan.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have all the foundations.
Wow.
Just start on this footing over here
Wow.
and get some solid ground, right? And sometimes you've got to do what you probably don't want to do.
Yes.
You mightn't like to go and get a hospitality job and just pour beers.
Yeah.
Right? You might see yourself
It's part of the grind.
well, potentially,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on a digger in a construction site.
Yeah.
You see yourself as, you know, managing people or something.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you don't have to be there day one.
Yeah.
And this is where I was saying before, ambition gets in the way of a bloody good journey.
Yeah.
Right? Start the journey. And yes, in a journey, you think about the various destinations.
Yep.
But they're not necessarily the end destinations.
Wow.
So I think, you know, it can be hard.
Yep.
But that's when, you know, the true self comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing I'd say is, and this is hard because it makes you vulnerable, particularly as a young person.
Wow.
But be prepared to share your problems with someone you trust.
Wow.
And
yes,
back when I was 14, I worked out that my best mate was someone I couldn't trust.
Okay.
So if you're in that situation, you work out whether you can trust your best mates or not, right? Because your best mate will stick by you, but they'll also give you the advice you may not want to hear, but you need to know. Right?
Okay.
So if you've got a problem, you need to be able to share it with someone that will give you that advice, right? Like, without fair and favour, they'll say to you, listen, your breath stinks, that's ridiculous.
Yep.
Why are you focused on that? You need to have a crack at this and get some money in the bank. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So find a circle that's going to help you.
Yep.
Yeah?
I heard a good saying yesterday because I listened to other things. They said to know a real true friend is someone that would back you up behind closed doors, but would also tell you straight up in front of your face.
Yeah.
And if you can get someone like that in your life, it's going to be really, really crucial. So this is the whole reason why I wanted to start the podcast, was to share inspiring stories like yourself. And just, you know, there's no BS about it. You know exactly what it takes. Watch your circle, watch everything, and just make sure you're in the right environment. So we're just going to finish it off here. What's 3 truths you can leave in the world? If this is James Price's last legacy that he can leave with us, what is 3 truths that you want? It could be, you know what, just be a good person, just live a life of gratitude. What is your 3 truths that you can leave with the Awaken Greatness fam?
I don't know whether I can come up with 3. I'm a numbers person, but
I
struggle with one, right?
Yeah.
But there's one that I'll drop up front, and that is, you know, be careful how you treat people.
Wow.
And I've been on a journey from day one, and I'm not lily white in this game, right?
Yeah.
I can treat people a lot better than I do.
Yep.
I'm a passionate person, and sometimes passion comes out in different ways, positive and negative ways.
Yes. Yep.
But you know, treat people the way you want to be treated.
That's powerful.
Right? And we hear it a lot, but live it. If you live it, there'll be respect, right? There'll be mutual respect.
Wow.
And I feel like you'll get on in the world a whole lot better, right? And I've learned a lot in that space, positive and negative. I'm still learning about doing that. Right? The other thing is, sometimes greatness comes with little things, shameless actions that are not agenda driven.
Yeah.
They're driven from the heart.
Yeah.
Right? They're driven because you care, and you want to feel good about contributing. You want nothing else than that, right? they're two. And I think the third one we've talked about. But hey, ambition is great. You've got to have a goal. You've got to be focused. But don't forget to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
And the journey can be those little steps. And those little steps in putting yourself in a situation that you're not always comfortable, right? Putting yourself in a situation where you have a chance of being better.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? And if you can be better one day, you can be better the next day.
Yes.
And the next day. Right?
Woo.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for helping me build this movement and just help share stories and it's inspiring breakthroughs. And this is something that really means a lot, because I know what people go through, and I know that our circumstances can never dictate where you go in life, but this will definitely help shine some light on where to go and how to do it.
Coach Jack, if I must say, what you're doing also, I'm very proud of, because you're trying to make a difference in people's lives.
Thank you.
And anyone listening to this, no matter how bad your lot is, I firmly believe in this country, with the support around you, the likes of what you're delivering, you can make a difference. Wow. And you can master your strengths, and you can be someone you're proud of.
Yes.
And so I really appreciate what you're doing for the community, bro, because
thank you also.
It's very important also.
Yeah. Well, wish you all the best. Appreciate your time. Thank you. You're a legend. Thank you, brother.
Well, that's a pleasure. I was all right.
Yeah.
I've always found that the hardest.
Is that like you're pushing more to empower them so they can kind of come out of their own shell?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, I dropped a podcast last night with Narelle Hand, and we talked about culture in a team, right?
Yes.
And I told her that back in my 30s, I worked for a very large corporate in Australia, a listed company, and they had 40,000 staff back in those days, right? And I managed a business that had $400 million profit line. Wow. My team was about, my immediate team was about 40 people.
Yep.
And at that time, I was in my early 30s in a very senior role, and I basically treated everyone the same, right? And my view was, they're all the same. We need to focus on the business and drive profit and performance, and we just drive till we achieve our goals.
Yep,
right?
Yep.
And we achieved a lot of stuff, right?
Wow.
But the reality was, I didn't treat them as individuals. So I mean, they bent over backwards to help me achieve the goals.
Yep.
But I wasn't getting the best out of them because I didn't look at them as individuals. I just looked at people, they're all the same.
Yep.
And we just got this goal out here and away we go, right? And we just marshal around it. But the reality is, that's not how to unlock greatness.
Yes.
Right? Talk about greatness. You're talking about greatness,
yes.
Right? Greatness is in the individual.
Wow.
Right. Yep. But it's also in the team and circle you're in. And particularly it is if people recognise in the team your strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
And they know you for who you are, right?
Yeah.
Not some imaginary goal that, you're just part of an army to achieve.
Yes.
Right. So
wow.
So come back to my team. Like, to be successful in my team, you've got to be a team player.
Yeah.
But the real mix is, how do you get people satisfied for what they do, right, individually, but also satisfied as a team, right? That's when the sparks fly.
Wow, that's powerful.
I don't know, but that's just a learning of mine. Like, and I've probably pissed off a lot of people that have been in my teams over many years because I haven't treated them as individuals.
Yes.
Anyhow, so I've awoken to that. Right?
Yes.
It's taken a while.
So this is another question. Do you feel like treating them all the same is a downfall? Like, everyone has certain skill levels and everyone has certain type of value that they can add to the team. So treating them all the same, is that kind of a downfall, or you can just learn and then understand how to treat them differently?
Well, I thought it was appropriate initially because I thought it was fair. right?
Yep,
I was
yep.
being fair
Wow.
to everyone, right? But I think it is a downfall, right? Because first you've got to understand what motivates an individual,
Yes.
what they're good at, what they feel good at, what they feel vulnerable at.
Yes.
And
Wow.
and then, so I think you've got to treat the individual as an individual and help them along their way and praise them for what they're doing. But then as a team, you've got to show equity in how you treat the team, right?
Yeah.
Because there's team goals and there's individual goals.
Wow.
so
So
I
I'm
think-
just writing some notes down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it, or how I've learned to see it, right? I mean, you know, I get excited with little things in my team
Wow.
that tell me that they're working as a team. When someone in my team says, "Hey, James, do you think we should do it this way? I've been thinking about this. Maybe there's a different way." Or, "Hey, you know, I'm not so good at that, but do you mind if I talk to Joe and the team to help me do that?"
Okay.
Because immediately they're showing there's no ego in all of that, right? They're looking and saying, "I'm good at this, but my team has these capabilities. How do I work together to achieve the end goal for the team and the business," right?
Wow.
When someone's focused like that, I think their true strengths are coming forward. Yeah?
Which one would you find more valuable? Of someone that comes to you with a problem constantly, or tries to figure it out themselves and then say, okay, instead of like knocking on your door all the time, James, what do we do here? What do we do that? Someone that takes responsibility. Would you rather someone like that but gets it wrong, or someone that always comes to you and asks for answers?
Oh, the former rather than the latter. In my early days, I was fortunate to work with a guy who's still alive. His name was John Carter.
Wow.
And he'd been in his 90s now. So I worked as his assistant in a business. And what he taught me was to think for myself.
Wow.
And you think, well, isn't that a God-given fact, right?
Wow.
But really, he taught me a whole bunch of other things. He taught me to question things.
Yes.
And be curious, right? But ultimately, he taught me to think for myself.
Yeah.
Make up my own mind about, what's going on.
Wow.
And to answer your question, there are 4 things that I look for in a team member. The first one is problem solving.
Okay.
Right? They've got to have an innate quality to solve problems.
Yes.
Second is they've got to be a critical thinker, and they've got to analyse things, because we do things.
Yep.
So numbers, things, and what have you. So you've got to be able to look around things from different angles.
Yep.
The third, you've got to be able to communicate, right? You've got to be able to tell a story with fact and genuineness. So verbal, written.
Yep.
And the fourth, we just talked about, you've got to be a team player.
Yes.
Right? You got to be prepared to be vulnerable and be part of a team solution. Right?
Wow.
So problem solving.
Yep.
And figuring it out yourself, having a crack at solving it.
Yeah.
I love people that come to me and say, "I got this problem, and this is what I'm thinking about, and I'm potentially thinking that we need to do X, Y, and Z. What do you think, James?"
Coming with some options,
right?
Trying to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And then I know that someone's taken initiative, they've thought for themselves, but they're also providing value in the discussion.
Yes.
And then that puts a leader in the team like me, for this instance. I need to, I don't want the team to serve me.
Yep.
Right? I want to be serving the team. So if I'm engaged in that discussion, I'd say, well, listen, Jack, I reckon your theory there is right, but have you looked at X, Y, Z? Look, here's what we did for another client. Have a look at this and then tell me what your thoughts are.
Yes.
Right? So I can contribute and help along the way, but I don't want to come up with a solution, right?
Wow.
Because that doesn't give me satisfaction. I've done that. Right?
Yes.
The best thing there's where the individual's important, right? The individual needs to feel and own the solution that's come up with. And if it's wrong, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
We move on and we go again.
That's so true.
Right? And we turn it up next time.